Sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. If this is your first time of coming across this channel, sweetheart, smash that subscribe button, turn your notification so you are notified each time I upload, and please give this video a thumb up. I appreciate you all so much, and I'm saying a very big shout out to every one of you for the support you are showing me here with. I am grateful, and you all are super sweet. So black people are calling out some influencers, like huge influencers, who refuse to talk about what is going on because they do not want it to affect their brand and all that. And then a lot of people were angry because this influencer also came out to speak about it and then ended up deleting the video because she knew that she messed up. So people were asking if this were to be slavery, because as far as you all can see, it looks like another kind of, you all are seeing Holocaust happening. Congo is going through what they are doing, Sudan, Palestine, and all that. And you all think they came out to say that they are not qualified to talk about it. And do you need to be qualified? So there is no need for qualification before you speak up on what is going on in the world, especially when it got to do with genocide. Let's get into this video.
In what universe am I a voice to speak on this? I
said this in another video, but I'm also going to say it here. An alarming number of you guys would have stood by and done nothing during slavery and during the Holocaust. Like, an incredibly large number of you all would have made excuses for people who have influence. A large number of people get onto this internet every fucking year to ask, how could things like the Holocaust have happened? How could slavery have happened? We are watching it real time. It's because people, for some reason, will defend those who create and have influence and have the ability to do things and just give them leeway because we feel like they shouldn't have to say anything. I mean, for God's sakes, using her own words against her, she came out not too long ago in a statement where she said anybody who has a large platform but doesn't speak out about atrocities happening, like, essentially shouldn't have that platform and should be ashamed of themselves. And I just don't understand. Are we just all forgetting that these things happen? This is now my third week of having gone to protests that are specifically for Palestinians. And to see the wide range of people that show up to these protests that fight for the rights of Palestinians and for Palestinian freedom, and for Britney Broski to not even be able to just fucking say some shit like, this is kind of fucked up. And it's the same way I'm looking at all these other famous people who are just incapable of saying, hey, this is fucked up. Maybe we need to stop platforming them. Maybe these aren't the right type of people who should have these positions of power, where when push comes to shove and there are serious ass things happening in the world, they are unwilling and unable because of financial obligations to say what needs to be said. Maybe it says a lot about who we are as human beings that we continue to platform people like this. I said it in the other video that I posted about this, but literally the intersectionality within feminism that Britney Broski could have used as a leeway as a segue into talking and having this conversation on our platform, she just completely ignored. And that's what makes this the most funny. She could have literally been the hero, quote unquote, in this situation had she literally talked about the intersectionality of feminism and as it relates to what is happening to Palestinian women. But she didn't, and her team didn't, because they thought it was going to cost them money, but they realized it cost them more money to not speak out about this. And then whoever her op-ass friend was went and exposed her to the internet. It never fails to amaze me how we all just lack a cohesive level of empathy and care for one another to just speak out in the face of injustice, not because it impacts us directly in some way, but because these are human beings with lives just like the rest of us have. But I guess for many of you, that is simply too difficult.
Just when I thought white creators couldn't be more out of touch, Britney Broski.
I just want to say something really quick because I feel like there's this stance or this rhetoric that's being pushed that I vehemently disagree with, and I feel like needs to be cleared up asaptually. And that's the idea that somehow we are in the wrong for holding influencers responsible for being a news source or a vessel for staying up to date on current events. Since when has that ever been the ask? Since when has that ever been the case? Since when have we been asking these influencers to be journalists for a day? And I'm being so serious. Since when have we ever said, hey, report to us the latest news? Are you dumb? That's never been the ask. It's never been the ask. It has never been asked that they are the new source. It's asked that they are loud and incessant and consistent in voicing their solidarity and their advocacy for Palestinian people with millions and billions of followers. When the one ask that we have from the people in Gaza who have asked us on more than one occasion, their task to us is to not let this genocide die down in the media, is to keep this genocide in the front of everyone's minds. Why do you think that people with millions of followers just shouldn't be expressing their solidarity and their advocacy? This is a very unique situation where we are seeing all of this happen firsthand. We are being handed a plethora of primary sources every single day. We're seeing video footage. We're hearing phone calls. We're seeing live updates. And at the same time, we are learning, a lot of us, especially in America, we are learning about this occupation in its entirety for the first time. It is so crucial that we have as many voices loud and unashamed in their support for Palestine at this moment. So what are you talking about? Genuinely, it's starting to frustrate me because I feel like it's like almost like a scapegoat choice to frame this narrative like we're asking influencers to be freaking, I don't know, a news anchor or a journalist. That's never been the ask. The ask has been to make your stance known and continue with your solidarity. Like, are you kidding? I have less than 500 followers on Instagram, but you bet your bottom dollar every day I am posting videos, I'm posting screenshots, I'm posting updates, I'm posting historical context that I'm learning, I'm posting everything for my little measly 400 something followers. Why? Because the last thing that I will do is be a reason as to why this genocide dies down in the media, or be a reason as to, or contribute to the short and minuscule attention span that so many Americans have. While we live in a very powerful country, it's becoming more and more apparent that our actual power to make change is very limited. We don't have a lot of power when it comes to actually making the decisions. So we need to go 10 toes down on what we have been asked to do, which is getting in them streets, controlling our dollar, and not letting this die down in the media. And frankly, while we ourselves are not the journalists, it is crucial that we continue to push the message that the journalists in Gaza are providing to us, because you and I both know that we cannot trust the Western media for our information. So while no, we don't need Britney, Broski, and all the other influencers to be, you know, the freaking History Channel or Channel 4 News, yes, it is important that we continue to push the accurate information like Kalani is doing. Kalani is a perfect example of this. Nobody is looking to Kalani to be a journalist, but Kalani is reposting the work and the words and the footage and the photographs of those in Gaza. It's really a simple it's a simple concept. I don't know where the disconnect is being. And I feel like this leads me into the second thing that I wanted to say. A lot of people are saying, why are we holding influencers accountable like this, but we don't hold our politicians accountable like this? Are you dumb right now? Guys, be for real. Are you being for real? Guys, be for real. Number one, if you're not holding your politicians accountable to the best of your ability, then I suggest you do that. But me, I've been doing that. I've been calling them every day, going straight to voicemail, leaving voice messages. Now we're saying, oh, we need to fax them, we need to send letters. I'm about to do that. But you and I both know that politicians are extremely inaccessible, and a lot of us are learning this in its entirety right now. One of the reasons why influencers will never achieve the celebrity and inaccessibility that a lot of actual celebrities do and politicians do, they're in that same sphere, is because the way that influencers rose to their stardom is by being relatable and by being in closer proximity to those that follow them and watch their content. So yes, it's a lot more simple to go in the comments of Britney, Broski, and whoever else has been silent for the 35 or 36 days. It's a lot easier to go flood their comments knowing that they're going to see that, because that's literally their freaking office. than it is to email and call a representative just to be answered on the phone by a staffer who will pass the message along. These people are wildly inaccessible unless you want to show up to their freaking house. Like, don't be dense. Don't be dense. On one hand, yes, we need to be holding our politicians accountable like we are holding these influencers accountable. But on the other hand, don't be honest with you and with me when we recognize that we have more reach with influencers. So I don't want to hear that at all. All I'm saying is these people are called influencers for a reason. If you don't want to influence, call yourself a content creator and keep it pushing. And I feel like these people are sinking into the excuse of, don't look to me, I don't know much. Da-da-da. Girl, we're the same age. We're the same age, probably with the same education. Y'all went to college just like me. Y'all can get on the internet. Y'all can read a book, listen to a podcast, watch a documentary. You can educate yourself. It took me 3 days to educate myself enough to know that what's going on is severely messed up and that we have been tasked with a very important task that is so important that we execute. Like, we talk about how celebrities are out of touch. We talk about how it's because y'all allow them to be out of touch. Whenever it comes time for them to tap into their humanity, to grow a spine, or to actually muster up some type of integrity, now you're trying to give them a reason as to why we shouldn't do that. What do they have all these followers for? Why are they called an influencer? This is such a huge issue. I feel like a lot of y'all don't recognize how grave this situation is. Every voice counts. These people are voiceless. They're helpless. They're losing their loved ones. They don't have food. They don't have water. They're dying horrible, painful, slow deaths. And we have been asked to keep their story alive. So I'll be darned if I allow an influencer to sit in their millions in brand deals and their fancy podcast shows and go to different concerts and go on brand trips and do makeup hauls and just say nothing when all we have been asked to do is say something. You feel me? Come on.
What's up, guys? So I want to jump in on this discourse that's happening around Britney Broski. Now, I would encourage you to go and watch this creator's video on Britney Broski if you want the full tea, but I'm going to, for the purposes of this video, give you a very concise synopsis of what is going on. And that's because I don't even necessarily want to talk about the video that the creator made, even though I agree with it, or the response video that Britney made. I want to talk about the comments on both of those videos. But again, just as a quick little synopsis, a creator made a video talking about how Britney Broski basically hadn't said anything about Palestine, even though she's very vocal about other topics. And then the OG creator showed a video from Britney Broski's close friends on Snapchat, basically where Britney was saying, like, it's dystopian that she has to talk about what's going on in the Middle East. She doesn't feel like she's the voice to speak on it, and that she would have to address it on her podcast next week. And again, I implore you to go and watch these videos for yourself, but for me, honestly, it was the tone in which Britney said things. She just lacked empathy. And again, I'm not going to get into that specifically. I just specifically want to talk about the comments. Examples of the comments on the original creator's video are things like, I don't know why Britney has to speak on it. Why does she have to speak on it? What pool does she have? She doesn't have to speak on it. I'm so confused. And let me be very clear that when you're saying those things and when you're commenting those things, whether or not you know it or not, you are being disingenuous. Britney is an entire influencer. She has made a career off of influencing people. She has a podcast. She has 2 accounts, both with more than 5 million followers. And so it doesn't make sense that as an influencer, especially an influencer like Britney, who has built a lot of her platform on like feminist talking points, leftist policies, humanitarian issues, why you would not want to influence people to be on the right side of history. And then for those asking, oh, what could she do? What could she say? Well, number one, she could educate herself on the issue. And first and foremost, before this point in time, if she wasn't educated, I wouldn't fault her too much because a lot of people in the West have no idea what's going on in the East. And that's because Western media does try to hide that from us so that we can't mobilize and obviously do the right fucking thing. But it has been a month since this happened, so at this point, there is no excuse to not know what's going on, to not have a basic level of understanding. And if she doesn't feel qualified to talk about it, she could do something that I did, which was make a series talking about things that I learned. Or she could make it a point to uplift other Palestinians who are talking about what is going on, as opposed to just posting like there is not a literal genocide happening. To sit here and question, oh, what pool does she have when she has 5 million plus followers is crazy to me. Furthermore, talking about the genocide of a people should not be a political issue. Basic human rights should not be political issues. Do you know how privileged you have to be to sit on the internet and comment and say that someone should not speak about a genocide happening? I have to ask, where are your morals? Where is your empathy? Where is your humanity? If you can sit on the internet and comment those things, you would have done nothing during the Holocaust, during slavery, during the genocide of Native Americans, during the humanitarian crisis in Sudan, during the current genocide in the Congo and Palestine, during the ethnic cleansing in Armenia. Genuinely, I think anyone who commented something like that really needs to take a deep look within yourself. And you need to ask yourself why you think that everyone everywhere should not be talking about an entire people being eradicated in front of our very eyes. And because this video is already getting long, I'm going to make a second video talking about the comments on Britney's post where she addresses that creator.
Dystopian universe. Do I have to address the situation in the
This whole situation where a lot of people are realizing that their favorite influencers have been quiet about everything that's happening to Palestinians right now is not really surprising, but it is definitely disappointing. Because the argument that they always give when confronted is, why do you expect me to be qualified to talk about this? Why should I be expected to talk about what's happening in Palestine when I make poop and fart jokes on TikTok? Why should I be expected to talk about Palestine when I'm just a beauty influencer? And that argument might seem to hold water to some people, but the real answer to why they don't post is that they literally don't care. In the video I stitched, Britney Broski is talking on her private story about how it's so crazy that people expect her to address the situation in Palestine when she's just a regular YouTuber. Why do we expect her to give her own 2 cents when she's not qualified? This is the same Britney Broski that gives her political opinions unprompted and then goes on to continue making poop and fart jokes every single week on her fucking podcast. Britney Broski can talk for 10 minutes about how much she cares about Black Lives Matter and how silence is violence and all of that, but she can't post a single infographic on her fucking story for a month. She can't even read an infographic. Influencers like this always take such issue with the fact that people think that they should use their platform for good. They shouldn't be responsible for educating people just because they have 1 million followers. But they don't seem to understand what people would give to have the kind of platform where talking would actually affect real change. It's the same as Selena Gomez going on Instagram to tell her 400 million followers that her using a hashtag isn't going to change anything. People really genuinely don't understand the power they have and how talking about something as it's happening could actually lead to real change. Even people that don't have any followers are using this watermelon filter on their videos just so they can send money to the people who are suffering and dying in Palestine. But Britney Broski wants you to believe it's crazy for you to expect her to I don't even expect her to talk about it on her podcast, but to stay silent for a whole month, to block people who are putting the watermelon emoji in your comments, to block anyone that brings up Palestine. She's acting like it's the craziest thing in the world for you to expect her to say something. It's not that hard. The most important thing to learn is that we don't know these people. We shouldn't get too attached to these people because every single year, every single month, one of them is about to show their ass and say the stupidest shit you've ever heard. And it's important to remember that they should not determine how you feel about things. You shouldn't feel crazy for expecting someone to post to their 1 million followers when people are dying in the thousands.
I just wanted to remind everybody and bring it to your attention if you didn't know, all the people of color in Congress support a ceasefire. Every single one. But even more interesting, 0 palm-colored people supported a ceasefire. Not one Congress member who was palm-colored supported it. Those are the same people who voted for Rashida Tlaib, who's right there, if you didn't know, to be silenced publicly. They're shunning her publicly. Censure is the correct word. But yeah, notice how the people who censured her, they're not here. They're not here. It's important to keep thinking critically. It's just really important. Because if you're not putting 2 and 2 together, the fact that no palm-colored people voted for a ceasefire should tell you everything you know about the American government. Now on a congressional level. But they voted for the only Palestinian to be silenced. Think critically. Think critically.
So this is all I got from this video. And first of all, let me tell you all that, you all made me understand this, that waiting for palm-colored people to join you in a fight most times is like wasting your time, because they would also vote against their own interests and run back to black people for help, or come back to tell you that it was a mistake, And this young lady, actually, she has a huge following, right? And people were also asking her to speak up with her huge platform to talk about what is going on. She said that she is not qualified to talk about it. And I am going to ask this. Do you have to be qualified? Is there anything like qualification to talk about what is going on in the world? You do not have to be qualified. All you have to do is probably self-education, or know what is happening, and then probably see a video that is talking about that you can also repost, or probably you do not have to be a professional before you talk about it. Like when it started in Congo, when I found out what was going on in Congo, even Palestine, I have to thought myself, I read about it, taught myself, and then started talking about it. So you don't have to be a professional. But then I see that they are all running away because they are influencers, and they do not want anything to happen to their money, because that money is something very vital than every other human lives and all that. I saw a video of a man saying that I don't care how many children die in Palestine, let them all die, and and that was just from a palm-colored man. That was just one of the most horrible things any human being can ever come out to say. They already have a stand, and they do not just want to come out and tell you this is my stand. They would rather stay back in their drawer or closet and feel good rather than coming out to speak against what is going on. And like the other sister said, if this were to be during slavery, a lot of them will still come out to tell you that they do not have anything to say, or they do not have they cannot speak on it. This shows or tells how evil most of them are. Pure evil. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.